Walking Stick Library presents Cochineal and Carmine with your librarian hostess with the mostest, Eileen Kramer. And don't forget, you can catch us live on Twitch.
Well, I have to thank Michelle Christensen on CloudHub for this next image, and I'm going to go get the image open for everybody to see. Just give me a second. And I'm going to bring down my curtain and minimize. And here we have them. Cochineal is not a parasite. We'll get to that in a minute. It absolutely isn't unless you are a cactus. Now, somebody was lazy reading Wikipedia, and Wikipedia is badly worded. It's used to dye lots of red sodas. Used for food coloring. It's used in cake mixes. It's used in Skittles. It's used in yogurt. I'm not sure about that because I think the yogurt is kosher, and this is not a kosher product. And we can find out more by going to a favorite source of ours. Let me make some space here and put us at 100%. And we're going to be looking for cochineal. And let me change our colors because we need to do that. And we're going to do a semi-known item search to get all of our language correct. And somebody didn't do a good job here, and that was me. And what we're going to be looking for is cochineal, and I want this back at 48. These are beautiful creatures that make a beautiful dye. They're very tiny. They're like less than a quarter of an inch long. And they're usually covered with like wax, so you don't see this beautiful red. But this beautiful red is what they use for dye. And it's a very old and very precious substance. Okay. And we're going to look in Wikipedia. And we're going to put this together with an and. And this is a semi-known item search to get us started. I'd like to get some facts about this creature before we go further. Because then we're going to expand this topic out. A picture can speak 1,000 words. So we're going to I'm going to pull that. Cochineal and Wikipedia. And the end is implied, but I'm writing it in because why the heck not? And here we are. Cochineal. Now, cochineal, Dactylopedus coccus, is a scale insect. See, they're mostly covered in wax. Okay. And I can show you some other ones here. In the suborder of Sternorhyncha, from which the natural dye carmine is derived, a primarily sessile parasite. They are not parasites. Native to tropical and subtropical South America. Now, a lot of people on CloudHub, when you say parasite, their eyeballs light up. But these guys are not a parasite unless you are a cactus. First of all, they're Hemiptera, which is the same order as aphids. Second of all, native to tropical South America, this insect lives on cacti in the genus Opuntia, feeding on plant moisture and nutrients. Say that 20 times. I will not, but I'll say it a second time. This insect lives on cacti in the genus Opuntia, feeding on plant moisture and nutrients. Unless you are a cactus, this is not a parasite. This is a plant eater. It has a sucking mouth part, and it just sits there and sucks the juice out of cacti. You're not a cactus, you don't have to worry. And you can find them in the southwestern US, which is kind of cool. This is the female. She does not fly. She doesn't walk very much. Once she finds a spot, she just stays put. This is the male. He flies and mates with the female. These are scale insects here. And most of the time, they are covered with wax. So you're seeing a naked one here. And scale insects are small insects of the order Hemiptera, suborder Sternorhyncha, of dramatically variable appearance and extreme sexual dimorphism. Adult females typically have soft bodies and no limbs. They are concealed underneath domed scales, extruding quantities of wax for protection. Some species are hermaphroditic with combined ovotestes instead of separate ovaries and testes. Males in the species where they occur have legs and sometimes wings and resemble small flies. The scale insects are herbivores, piercing plant tissues with their mouth part and remaining in one place feeding on sap. So no worry about it parasitizing you. It will not do that. It's a plant eater. And it's very pretty once you get the wax peeled off. That is a neat looking bug. If you hang around any entomology class, you'll hear lots of women talking about pretty bugs and neat bugs. I talk that talk because I like insects. I like critters. That's why it's critter night, although it really isn't. Okay. Now, we know what we have, and we know it has a name. That's its name, and I'll take the parentheses off it. Let's work this out. You know you want to do something with cochineal. You've seen those gorgeous red insects, and you say, how can I not want to write about them? And I could do if I'm taking public speaking, I could do my explanatory speech on cochineal, what it is, where it comes from. Are the insects a pest? Do people farm them? Has this had a role in history? Okay, pull it open, folks. Cochineal. And we know what it is. We know what it is, sort of. We know its other name is that's better. And we also know that that is not boldface. I don't know how that got boldface, but we will unbold it. But that is our creature. And we'll be using this. We'll be using this multiple times. And we kind of know what it is. But we don't know is it still used? We don't know. I'm going to use a slightly different color here. Was it historically important? This is a variation of who, what, why, where, but it doesn't use all of the pieces. Are these insects a pest? Do people farm them? Are they endangered? I have lots of questions. I'm brainstorming. Does anyone here have any cochineal questions? is, I don't want that. Cochineal. It's also called carmine. Dye safe. It is all natural. And I want this in the front because this is our star. So we have a bunch of ideas about cochineal and we can do some searches. Now, we can just search Dactylus coccus, but and that may answer some of these questions. So we could do that. That will work. Or we could do something like this. Much better. Why is that bold when I don't want that bold? Okay, and this guy here, I don't want it italic either. There, that's really much more what I want. And over here, I want dye. Do we still get dye from these creatures? Or do we still farm them? Are people still growing them? Dye stuffs. Value. This is going to answer, are they farmed and is this still used today? Let me get my pen here. We're going to and this. I mean, you can grow prickly pear cacti everywhere, so they're not hurting the prickly pears all that much. I mean, there's prickly pears growing right, a few blocks from this apartment, when you think about it. Okay, we're going to try our Dactylopus coccus. And we're going to try that at GSU. So we're going to get Google. Actually, we're going to get DuckDuckGo. Different one today. I'm tired of this. I'm going to go into DuckDuckGo. And we're going to look for GSU library. It should work like anything else. We're going in. I'm tired of using Google all the time. And we're going to go back here. I'm moving this so I can see it easily. I'm going to grab my genus and species name, put it in, and farm. Are they farming them? That's all I have to do. I run this and see what happens. And we're doing this out the big box. And it wants me to log in. Slow as molasses in January. But what can we do? Saving Shimana through biotrade. Peru's export of native biodiversity-based products. Okay. Colonial rainfield-fed farming strategies in an extremely insular environment. Niche construction on Lanzarote in Spain. I have no idea the use of insect pigment in artworks. Okay, let's get the PDF here and see if they're growing cochineal. Not that. Not that. Not working. We may want to try something else. Here's the use of insect pigment in artworks. This looks interesting. Let's just grab it for a second. Is it still being used? From ancient Egypt to the present day, acquiring the color red in the art world has involved various methods. Over the centuries, these methods have included oxides, natural minerals, organic dyes obtained from plants and insects. This study focuses on the cochineal insect, which produces a natural red pigment called carmine. This pigment has been used in art for thousands of years, especially by indigenous cultures for textile dyes and painting. During the Renaissance, artists valued carmine for its bright red tones. This study examines the history of the cochineal insect, its role in art, and its modern perception. So if we get all the way down here, it's going to talk about some of that. So they are 6 millimeters in length and 4.5 millimeters in width. They're tiny. That's why it takes so many. In contemporary times, the carmine red insect, Deicochus, thrives as a cosmopolitan species in regions where Opuntia cacti, the prickly pear, grow. These areas typically experience temperatures ranging from 24 to 28 degrees Celsius and have relatively low humidity and minimal rainfall. The sudden temperature changes. In Europe, such conditions are found only in the Canary Islands. Deicochus has adapted to the climate in various regions of the Mediterranean basin, including Algeria, France, Morocco, Spain, and some parts of Turkey. While attempts to cultivate it have been made in Sicily and Sardinia, success has been elusive. In the late 20th century, a project supported by the European community in Sicily achieved success in cultivating cochineal in a protected environment for natural dye production. There is your reference. I'm going back the way I came. Hopefully that will take me back the way I came. Not, oops, we came all the way out. I didn't mean that. Okay, back to the PDF. So they're in here. And these are pictures of them, more pictures of them. And this is how they look when they have the wax on them. And this is the dye. So yeah, they're still grow, and it says here, the Aztecs developed suitable production systems for cochineal insects to obtain a large amount of raw material. These systems are still partially adopted today in South Africa, India, Central and South America. Growers collect pre-ovigerous, I guess females that haven't gone through puberty, females from various plants before the rainy season and use them to infect the calsodes of plants more suitable for the dry season, thereby promoting the development of cochineal and restarting production. A more modern production system involves sampling the calsodes of Opuntia ficus indica. The calsodes are the little hands on the cactus in the field and transferring them to a protected environment. In this environment, with the help of suitable hooks suspended from supporting structures, cochineal infection is achieved by placing vegetable fibers containing ovigerous females into a basket in contact with the calsode. The newly produced young forms reach maturity and transform into adult females anchored to the calsode, turning into dried bodies of a dark gray color after about 3 to 4 months. Subsequently, the dusty wax is cleaned and the dried bodies are pulverized into powder. To obtain 1 kilogram of dye, it is necessary to pulverize 80,000 to 100,000 females that have not yet laid eggs. The powder obtained this way undergoes a process with water to extract carminic acid, resulting in a dye. And there's lots of pictures of this. And you can see how it's been used. So let's see where this was. Definition. And this was where we were in the Canary Islands. And if you wanted to find this, you could click this and hope it shows up. We never know what's going to show up. And here we have a bunch of them in an encyclopedia. There is one just wiggling around. There's a male going out to mate with the females. And there they are on a cactus leaf being farmed. And if you can see this, before the advent of cheap synthetic dyes that are aniline-based, the aqueous solution of the extract of the exsiscated bodies of the cochineal was widely employed in pharmaceutical, cosmetic, and alimentary industries. Somebody translated out of Italian and kept all the Latin roots. We would say food if you're a native English speaker, as well as in that of the dyes. The shades of color going from fuchsia to the red and violet are obtained by adjusting the pH with modifiers of dye and mordants. For obtaining great quantities of such raw material, the Aztecs developed adequate breeding systems of the cochineal that are partly adapted now in South Africa and India, as well as in Central and South America, where the breeders, before the rainy period, collect the young females and shelter them on calçotes. A more recent system, and here there's a whole bunch of them ready to be dried and made into whatever. So that's how it's done. I'm going to back us up here. It's being slow. I'm sorry if it's being slow. But I think we want to change this. Pull it out. Put a new one in. Cochineal. And we want, this is a squiggle. We want to take this guy out and put this guy in. I want production. Nice fancy Latin word, just like the alimentary industry in Italy. By the way, that guy was almost copying from that encyclopedia article. That was a little raw. What can you do? You catch it, and what's to be done? So we're gonna flip this around and go back and change this to cochineal and production. Go, find it for me. Woo! And this is 2022. And I don't know how long it is because they're not giving me pages, but I can find out. Let's do a find it and hope we get it. Let's not go clunk. We're not going clunk. This looks wonderful. Controlled mass rearing of cochineal insects. So they're using 2 laboratory scale production systems in Peru. They do still grow these things. They're not making this in a lab. Yay for the little red insects that can. And here we have the Carmine cochineal, Dactylopius coccus costa, has high economic value as it is a natural source of carminic acid, an organic chromophore used in a wide range of sectors, including pharmaceuticals, food, and cosmetics. High demand is fueling the search for innovative production techniques in order to move away from dependence on the prickly pear, which carries a number of limitations. The aim of this study was to establish cochineal colonies and breed and mass produce the insect using two laboratory scale production systems. The first system, STCO1, comprised a prismatic acrylic box with 3 compartments. Synthetic matrices were placed vertically inside the box to provide support and source of nutrients for the cochineal. The system was lit artificially during fixed daylight periods. The second system, STCO2, comprised an automatic tunnel allowing insects to move towards sunlight, containing synthetic matrices arranged horizontally. This was significant difference in yield between the two systems, 120 after 120 days, with STCO1 being superior and producing maximum yield for 4.86 grams per square meter compared with. I did not know that prickly pear imposed limitations. I mean, you see those things growing all over the place here in Georgia. And here it says, Carmine cochineal is a sap-sucking insect. It is not a parasite, belonging to the order Hemiptera that feeds on the cactus commonly known as the prickly pear. This insect is commercially and economically very valuable because it is a natural biological source of carminic acid, or red dye, from the anthraquinone group, which means it's going to have some five-sided circles in it, with a vast range of industrial uses, 5-sided rings. On the other side, this cactus species also has huge socioeconomic value, producing nutritional fruits and young edible chalcodes. People do eat the leaves and they eat the pads that are used as vegetables. In addition, mucilage from the chalcodes has a number of uses in the environmental sector, for instance, as a natural flocculant emulsifier and stabilizing agent. However, maintenance and production of the cactus species are affected by invasive factors, including the cochineal, which is parasitic to the plant and sucks its sap. This leads to chlorosis and other damage of the chalcodes, including necrosis and eventually death of the plant. Cochineal insect has a natural binomial symbiotic relationship comprising a host and parasite, plant and insect, with specific affinity and particular preference for Opuntia ficus indica. Okay. So they want the cacti too, so we'd like to have our cake and eat it. This answers a lot of our questions over here. If you want cacti, it's a pest. If you want insects, not so much. They are not endangered, apparently. We could check that on Wikipedia. This is carminic acid, for those who want to see it, and it does not have 5-pointed rings. It has 6-pointed quinone rings. This is a benzene ring over here with the 3 lines. And lots of double-bound oxygens, OHs, because again, acids have these things. What's the next one? Let's see. This is them with their wax on. This is them hanging out on a cactus. This is what they do to cacti. And these are little baskets for rearing them. They're collecting them and putting them on cacti. Little nests. And this is the dye. Nice. Okay. But they're not even listed. Nobody even has whether they are endangered. I would guess they are not. They're everywhere. They live all over the world. My guess is these little guys are much more pesky than endangered. So the answer is no, yes, sometimes. Is it still used? Yes. We've seen the chemical formula. We haven't looked at the history yet, and we haven't looked at the safety. We could do that without any problem. but I want to check a few more here. This is the history. Colonial institutions and cross-cultural trade. Remember, this was a valuable thing. It's still valuable because it's a very safe product. Colonial institutions and cross-cultural trade, repartimentio credit, and indigenous production of cochineal in 18th century Oaxaca, Mexico. By the way, you won't see so much cochineal because it's going to have a tariff put on it. Cochineal production and trade in New Spain to 1600. Here we have Carmine, Significance, Production, and Use. JSTOR Journals, 2003. Let's see how well we do. Hang in there, we may clunk. This is one of those topics that has a high value of clunking. And since I've been super busy, I have not looked in my chat, and I'm by myself tonight. And that is sad. And we clunked. I can show you the abstract, though. One of the colorants with the greatest number of commercial uses is obtained from the hemolymph which is insect blood, of an insect known as the carmine cochineal, Dactylopilus caucus casta. The insect, originally from Mexico or Peru, was first exported from Mexico to Europe in 1523 and was considered a very precious product. Today, cochineal is reared for marketing purposes in Peru, the Canary Islands, Chile, Bolivia, South America, Argentina, Mexico, and Ecuador. We don't grow it in this country. This is going to get tariffed. Insects are reared by placing a female cochineal in containers on different materials, on calcodes of different materials, on calcodes of, or on plants of Opuntia ficus indica. Carminic cochineal is one of the 26 known certified natural colorants. The active ingredient of the colorant, which characterizes cochineal extract, is carminitic acid, and the quantity of the compound found in the insect varies to between 10 to 25% of dry weight. At present, there is a significant demand for natural colorants, also in the industry sector, in pharmaceutical and cosmetic, for the preparation of food products. Carminic acid also finds other applications, such as an indicator of pH oxidation in biology and microscopy. Interesting. Too bad we can't get the article. Okay. And they were doing it back in Rio de Janeiro. I don't know what this is where we're going to find this, but we can grab it and have a look. And this is in both Portuguese and English. And I'm going to make this bigger so I can see what the heck I'm doing. This is the abstract. How do we get the full text? I have no idea. Texto completo. Good enough. And we're going to hope that this is in English as well. But it's not. Oh, here it is. This paper engages the context of the agricultural export diversification that occurred in Rio de Janeiro during the second half of the 18th century. The purpose of this article was to rescue the technical and scientific processes that were associated with the production of indigo and cochineal dye. A set of sources, letters, memoirs, instructions demonstrate that for decades there was a commitment to establish a correct method of production of dyes, which indicates a knowledge elaborated in colonial soil with little metropolitan influence. In this sense, the paper contributes to current research that intends to review scientific activities of colonial men. And that English is weird because somebody is translating it out of a Romance language. When you flip this back into its Romance language, it sounds beautiful. But English is half Germanic, and it just doesn't sound right. And here again, they're going back and forth. I don't know if they're going between English and Portuguese. Looks like most of this is going to be in Portuguese, which we don't care about. Oh well, that happens. Happens on the best days, doesn't it? And here somebody is studying their fungi. Remember, these are valuable creatures. And here we saw this one before. And here we have the evolution, production, and global commerce of cochineal dye. And we can try it again and see if we clunk it. Directory of open access journals. That'll work for me, works for you. Okay. And again, yeah, let's translate it and see if it will do it for me. It did. Look at that. And somewhere here we have cochineal. I don't see it. What is my title? Evolution and production. Okay, production. Let me try that. Why am I not seeing this? Oh, because this is 2024 and we are looking for... Let's see, we are looking for 2006. Okay, does this have an archive? Okay, let's see if we can find the last issue. Find it for me. Didn't work. Oh well. There may be, and again, remember the cactus is also important. So we'd like to know about safety, wouldn't we? I think we would. I know nobody's here but Mio tonight. Sometimes that happens. Okay. I want a fancier search than I've been getting. I'm going to do a little cleanup in aisle 9 here. Now, cochineal can be carmine. It can also be Dactylopius coca. Oh, crud. Let's get the real pen out. Or, so we're going to put an or up, and we're going to use parentheses for both names. And this is going to be cochineal, carmine, and we're going to get another circle, and I'll show how this works down below. Lumpy circle, and here we're going to put safety. We could also put toxicity. We could go the other direction. And we're going to have an and in the middle. Small and. And what we're going to have here is, actually, let's get rid of these. We'll do it with, we'll write it out as text. It's a lot better. We have here cochineal or carmine and safety. We could do toxicity. I'm going to put that up here. I don't think it's at all toxic unless you are allergic to it, which is why we want to list it as an ingredient. Remember, this is bold, and this is blue, and this is bold and it's red. And we are nesting, folks. Emmanuel is nesting on me. That's his nature. He likes to nest on his mommy. So this is what we're going to run. Cochineal or Carmine and safety. And our and gets the combined one right in here. We can come from either of these, but we want where they're talking about it being safe. So let's go give it a try. Go. My boy is here and he's so soft. Okay. I don't see anything about safety, but cochineal carmine absorbed on layered zinc hydroxide salt responsible for the reddish pink color of cooked hams without adding curing salts. For those of you who don't know, curing salts are nitrates and nitrites, and they're not very good for you. You're probably better off with this dye. Safety and efficacy of feed additives consisting of carmine for cats and dogs. This is 2022, so it's recent. Let's see if we get in. We may not get in. Oh, we did. Look at that. Now, I know their cat food is dyed reddish because I feed my cats. And I see red and green in my cat food. Now, my cats can't see red, so the sensory additive is for the owners. Kitties don't see red very well. To them, it's gray. But the green looks different, the yellow looks different. The following request from the European EFSA, which is a safety place, was asked to deliver a scientific opinion on the reevaluation of a safety and efficacy of carmine sensory additive functional group colorants and substances added to restore color in feeds for cats or dogs. This is to make the owner happy that cats and dogs don't see red. The additive costs of aluminum lakes or carminic acid, carmines, which are complexes of aluminum and carminic acid. Carminic acid produced from the female insect Dactylopius. We're going to say Dactylopius all night long. That's going to earworm me. Coccus costa is the coloring principle and is present in the final additive at 50%. The additive does not pose a risk concerning genotoxicity and is considered safe for dogs and cats at 264 to 220 milligrams per of carmine per kilogram of feed. That's a lot of milligrams in a kilogram, respectively. And I'm sure it's in your food, Emmanuel, which correspond to 132 to 110 milligrams of carminic acid to kilogram of feed, respectively. Due to the nature of the additive, the feed app control panel concluded that allergic reactions may occur in the target species following the ingestion of feeds containing the additive. The feed app panel concluded that the exposure of users by inhalation is very likely, that carmine is a respiratory and skin sensitizers. However, due to lack of data, a conclusion cannot be reached on the potential skin and eye irritation of this additive. The additive is considered to be efficacious in feeds for dogs and cats under the proposed conditions of use. Okay, I'm sure you're eating it, Emmanuel, because I know your cat food has red in it. Red is red, gold, and green at the moment. Friskies makes a multicolored cat food. Okay. That's not what I'm looking for. Okay, allergic contact dermatitis from Carmine, 2009. Let's have a look. A 28-year-old woman developed allergic contact dermatitis within 6 to 24 hours exclusively after using Carmine-containing eyeshadows and lipsticks. She had both positive patch test results and a positive anticubital repeated open application test result with Carmine at 2.5% in petrolatum. 30 other patients had negative patch test results. Carmine is a widely used pigment derived from gravid cochineal insects. Carminic acid is the source of its color. Only 2 previous publications describing allergic contact dermatitis from Carmine could be found. The ingredient in Carmine causing these delayed hypersensitivity reactions has not been studied. In contrast, there are numerous reports of immediate hypersensitivity reactions from Carmine, mostly from its use in foods and beverages, but also from cosmetics and pharmaceuticals. So yeah, you can be allergic to Carmine. And it's something you would know. Okay, that's not cochineal or Carmine. Ooh, here we have an interesting one, the red insect dyes. Carminic, caramicic, and lacaic acid. Lac is the insect from which they make shellac. Some of these things you learn. Let's have a look-see. And here's a Boise. He is very determined to be a really active assistant tonight. Some nights my assistants are not on my lap. Tonight I have one. 3 groups of insect dyes are described. 3 cochineal dyes, the kermes dye, and the lac dye. The major color components are carminic acid, kermesic acid, and lacaic acids. These dyes are red anthraquinone derivatives. The chemical structures are described. All of these dyes have extensive histories that are related briefly. However, only American cochineal is of commercial importance today. 2 manufactured derivatives of cochineal, carmine and acid-stable carmine, are described in some detail, including chemical identity, toxicity, and stability, and non-staining applications. Okay. And here we have different kinds of cochineal. And they use other insects, apparently, for this too. I did not know this. These are from the Porophora beetle. Porophora polonica and Porophora, we'd have to look up what they are. Okay. And let's see, this is where we get different kinds of red dye from. This shows you on a map that they use a lot of different insect dyes. And this is cochineal red dye. This is the acid. I want to see what it says about toxicity. So I'm kind of skipping till we get to the toxicity. In a summary of published results, the LD value is 6,250 milligrams per kilogram. So you have to eat 6.25 milligrams of this dye in mice. Suggests that, so they're giving the mice 6.25, that oral toxicity. So you have to feed mice 6.25 grams per kilogram of body weight to make them sick, to kill them. This means that oral toxicity is low, and we have a footnote here. In addition, when rats are fed up to 500 milligrams per kilogram of calcium carbide for 90 days, they showed no treatment-related effects apart from an unusual color. They got dyed red. Other tests suggested that carminic acid has no mutagenic potential. A reproductive toxicity experiment using carmine in rats established no observed adverse effects. Of 1,000 milligrams of carmine, 1 gram of carmine per kilogram per day. In the 3-generation reproduction study using rats, was 500 milligrams of carmine per kilogram per day. But all is not well, because there have been many reports of anaphylactic allergic reactions following consumption of food or drinks that are colored with carmine or cochineal extract. The major allergen in cochineal is a protein with 335 amino acids at a molecular mass of 38 kD. And again, you can find this. In many cases, allergy to ingested carmine, the route of first sensitization, was not by the intestine, but by the skin. These investigators found evidence in the literature that 22 cases of allergy to ingested carmine. The patients were women while occupationally sensitized patients are predominantly men. This suggests that women are sensitized by prolonged use of cosmetics containing carmine. Men are occupationally sensitized, exposed to carmine in the workplace. Using purified carmine free from all suspect proteins, not only for food but also for cosmetics. Catena et al. Recommended using purified carmine free from all suspect proteins, not only for food but also for cosmetics. Okay, coming up for air. I would say, boom, boom, let's move us over. Let's move us over. It's safe unless you have an allergy. Okay. Let's see what else we've got. Out of curiosity, let's go run through these. Let's run through this is what was this one I had here? What's the age of this? Older, new, 2019. So if I were interested in this, I could go to, let me get down here where they have the toxicity. We have, let's see if I can find this. Ohigia et al. 2009. Ohigia. OHGIYA. Yeah, this is just alphabetical. OHGIYA. And we can copy this, Control C, and we can, actually better than that, let's go to Web of Science and see who has cited this. This looks interesting enough that I might want to look. So we could look for the article. That would be the first thing. And the way we would look for the article is, I'm going to get Google. Back up, folks. One more go. And we are looking for, and I'm going to check my chat house. Oops, wrong door, Kramer. Nobody, and I've been checking all night, so this is annoying. So we're looking for molecular cloning expression. I'm going to copy this, and we're going to go to GSU library, and we're going to pop this in the hopper. Well, it looks good. Let me go back to the beginning just to make sure it came out clean. Let's see if we get it. And I have to sign in for full access again. Come on, you're in there. Sometimes these are in there when we don't expect them to be. There it is. That's perfect. And we can, I'm not even going to open the full article. I want to see who has dealt with this. So I am going to I have this name. This is her last name, Ogia. Get the whole thing for a change. I'm going to copy it. I'm going to get Bing up. Let's go in. And we're going to skip this big box and go down to Web of Science and see who has cited this article. Just for fun. Because why not? Fancy searches are fun. And we have this over here. This is the article we are citing. This is the person who found what makes people allergic to the protein that sensitizes people to cochineal. We're going to do a cited reference. The author is, and the cited title has cochineal in it. And let's run it. And there are 45 references citing this title. Let's see what we've got. I have no idea. Natural insect-derived nanoparticle. I have no idea. We could take a look. Okay, here's dyes used in the Polish meat market. Their possible risks and benefits. This is 2023. And it's open source. I see the little unlocked thing. I'm curious about the natural insect-derived nanoparticle. I could say something very, very mean. And here again, more on this problem. Not all of these are going to be about carmine. But here's another one about insect allergies. And people can get all kinds of cross allergies. Carmine allergy in urticaria patients. Let's take a look at that for the heck of it, and then we'll take a look at the insect-derived nanoparticle. Unfortunately, this needs to get translated. No, I'm going to say no, because usually the translations are terrible. I do want to see the nanoparticle. Full text of publisher, so we can go. It's an open source. And this would probably make our Cloud Hub friends shake in their shoes. Natural insect-derived nanoparticle. What? A natural insect-derived nanoparticle was proposed as a signal tag. CANPS have ultra-bright red color and instantaneous labeling capability. The antibodies labeling process is less than 1 minute. And this is with increasing international attention on environmental protection, higher requirements are put forward for green detection technology. With simple preparation, sustainable material application, and efficient result output. Herein, we propose a natural insect-derived nanoparticle with ultra-bright and instantaneous labeling capability as a signal tag for stable and efficient immunophotographic assay. So they're looking for something that's going to react to something. I believe immunochromographic assay. We can get a definition for that. Copy. And this is the AI version, but we can live with it for tonight. An immunochromatographic assay is a simple, quick test that detects the presence of a target in a sample by reacting to it and lighting up. I wonder what insect they used. Notably, owing to the rich functional groups in CANPs, the insect-derived nanoparticle with ultra-bright instantaneous labeling capability as a signal tag for stable and efficient immunochromatographic assay to meet the above challenges. The FDA approved the insect-extracted carmine E120 nanoparticles, CANPs, so these are carmine nanoparticles, were specifically regulated by pH changes to enhance disparity and produce ultra-bright color as signal tags. Notably, owing to the rich functional groups of CANPs, insect-extracted carmine nanoparticles, the FDA approved insect-extracted carmine E20 nanoparticles, CANPs, were specifically regulated by pH changes to enhance disparity and produce ultra-bright color as signal tags. Notably, owing to the rich functional groups in CANPs, the CANP's probe formed rapidly and efficiently, less than 1 minute, to improve the reproducibility and precision, getting rid of the high cost in resources, 9-fold reduction in whatever they were using before. As proof of concept, we have a loose cable on the keyboard. That's what that noise is. As proof of concept, CANP's based ICA strategy realized ultra-bright red bands on the test strip without background within 15 minutes for chloramphenicol detection, attained more than a 475-fold improvement in whatever that was over the classic dyes we use, and a 5-fold reduction in cost for each detection. Pretty cool stuff. And this comes with a nice picture. This is the picture, and this is where they're getting it from. There they are eating the cactus, and they made them into nanoparticles that would light up. They'll find stuff in natural water. I'm saving this image because why not? There, nice happy image. Thank you so much for watching. And don't forget, you can catch me live on Twitch.